Hey everyone! Welcome to this presentation about microplastics. Today, we'll explore what microplastics are, how they affect us and the environment, and most importantly, what we can do to reduce them. Invisible threats, impact of microplastics in everyday life, understanding the hidden pollutants, and how we can make a difference. Let's get started. Microplastics are plastic particles smaller than 5 millimeters, often invisible to the naked eye. There are two types. One, primary microplastics, produced intentionally, like microbeads in cosmetics. Two, secondary microplastics, formed when larger plastics degrade over time, such as plastic bags and bottles. Did you know? Every year, millions of tons of microplastics end up in oceans, impacting marine life. So, microplastics are super tiny pieces of plastic. Some are primary microplastics, meaning they're made small on purpose, like those microbeads you find in face scrubs or toothpaste. Others are secondary microplastics, which break off from bigger plastics like bags and bottles after they've been exposed to sunlight or water for a long time. The problem is, these tiny pieces end up in the ocean, where they harm marine animals and ecosystems. 1. Synthetic clothes, fabrics like polyester release fibers during washing, which enter wastewater systems. 2. Single-use plastics, bottles, bags, and packaging degrade into microplastics over time. 3. Tires and road runoff, tire wear releases plastic particles, which are washed into rivers and oceans. There are several ways microplastics enter the environment. Synthetic clothes, like polyester, shed tiny fibers every time you wash them. These fibers travel through drains and end up in rivers and oceans. Single-use plastics, like bottles or bags, break down into microplastics over time, especially when exposed to sunlight. And finally, car tires release microplastic particles when they wear down. These particles get washed into rivers by rainwater and eventually make their way to the ocean. Impact on environment. 1. Marine life ingestion, fish, birds, and marine animals mistake microplastics for food, causing digestive problems. 2. Ocean pollution, microplastics accumulate in oceans, disrupting ecosystems and polluting water bodies. Impact on human health. 1. Contamination of food and water, microplastics have been found in drinking water, seafood, and even salt. 2. Potential health risks. Studies suggest links between microplastic exposure and hormonal disruption or inflammation. Microplastics are harmful to both the environment and human health. Marine animals like fish or birds often mistake microplastics for food. This causes digestive problems and can even be fatal. In oceans, microplastics build up over time, disrupting ecosystems and making the water more polluted. And these plastics don't just affect animals, they affect us too. Microplastics have been found in our food, like fish, shellfish, and even salt. They're also present in our drinking water. Some studies show that microplastic exposure might interfere with hormones and cause inflammation in our bodies. What can we do to reduce microplastic pollution? Personal actions. 1. Use natural fabrics. Choose cotton, wool, or other biodegradable materials over synthetic fabrics. 2. Avoid products with microbeads. Check labels for microbeads in cosmetics and switch to natural alternatives. 3. Use reusable items. Switch to reusable bottles, bags, and straws to reduce plastic waste. Community and policy efforts. 4. Support legislation. Encourage bans on microplastics and single-use plastics in your community. 5. Participate in cleanup drives, join or organize local efforts to clean beaches and rivers. 6. Raise awareness, share information on social media and with friends. While microplastic pollution is a serious challenge, we can all take steps to reduce it. Here are a few solutions. As individuals, we can switch to reusable products and avoid single-use plastics like straws and plastic bags. We can also choose natural fabrics like cotton or wool instead of synthetic materials to reduce microplastic shedding. Community cleanup efforts can help keep plastics out of rivers and oceans. On a larger scale, governments can enforce policies to ban microbeads in cosmetics and promote recycling programs to minimize plastic waste. Every small action matters, and together, we can make a difference. Thank you for taking the time to learn about microplastics and their impact on our lives. I would like to leave you with this inspiring thought: the greatest threat to our planet is the belief that someone else will save it. Let's all take responsibility and do our part in reducing plastic pollution for the sake of our environment and our health.